So with that, I want to hop over to this question here from Lola Dean, who supered us $5 and said, this is the big question, is Dragonflight shaping up to be worthy of giving WoW a second chance from someone who had a very poor and confusing experience in Shadowlands? What I will say...
Poor and confusing depends on the resolution of that, but yes.
If those were the problems, my gut reaction is yes, but don't pre-order.
Yeah.
And the reason why it is yes is because there's no Covenant-like decision that then cascades into other systems and things.
Yeah, the story
right?
not working.
There's none of that. There's no... The story is split up into 4 Covenants, so make 4 characters to get the story, and then take it out the back like a puzzle piece and just, brew yourself some tea and just sit there and puzzle the story together. Because that's my job. That's what me and Jared do for a living. So narratively, that confusion should not be there. The sort of, what do I do with my character bit will not be there. Professions are certainly more in-depth.
Oh, they're so much better.
But, I think they're better. So I would say that, like, if for you the problem with Shadowlands was you logged in and it was full of goop to trudge through that you didn't really understand, and a plot that you found to be fragmented and weird. I can't say 100% about the plot yet, of course. We haven't seen the cinematics. We don't really know where things are going to be going post-game. But at least from what I have played and from looking at the systems of the expansion from my perspective, I do think, yes, Dragonflight is worthy of giving a chance if those were your issues with Shadowlands, because Blizzard are working to greatly clarify those issues. As an example, if somebody was like, legendaries, what are they? Where do I get them from? How does this work? Where do I get the quest from? Okay, I've got to look up a website. Oh no, now I need to look up a guide. Literally doesn't exist anymore. Just pick your talents. From, so many different things. It's easier. I mean, it's just less... I don't even call it cognitive load because it was never interesting decisions. It was just problem-solving goop that got in the way with feeling like you were ready to play. So my opinion is yes.
Yeah, so that's basically how everything... It's hard to say anything else in terms of like the actual front of the game overall. I think the professions, I will add a little bit of flavor there just because my time spent skinning in beta has actually been super fun. It's been a little bit annoying. So I'm like, where do I get these? And I have to go and kill things that I will find. I'm sure, whatever guides will be there after lunch. But on the stories standpoint, I've been thinking let's speak slowly. I've been thinking about this a hell of a lot. And it's more or less, there's a lot less scattered. They have clearly actual ideas. They clearly have, I'm not going to call them good ideas because I haven't seen how they resolve yet. But they have ideas. Zones have stories that begin and end to a degree, while there is a greater plot thread running that they kind of hint at and tease at a little bit. So there's very much stuff of... there's very much massive improvements in the execution of story. And pretty...
Yes, you just heard Matt say that.
Pretty profound improvements in the orchestration and ordering of story. At least as far as I played through a couple of the zones. But, and this is an analogy that I was going to... this is not a good analogy because there are massive gaping flaws, but I'm going to use it because I couldn't think of a better one. But it's like... it's like congratulating like a 19 or 20-year-old on learning how to read, right? It's a thing of... it's a bad analogy because if someone doesn't know how to read, that's probably not their fault, right? Definitely not their fault. But the part of it that I think is accurate is the idea of that's good. That's a great improvement. That is fantastic. That is excellent for you. However, you definitely should have been doing this a hell of a long time ago.
Fair.
That's the thing on the outcome of it. Obviously, the other, it's a bad analogy for the reasons I provided. But that's the idea of it's very like fundamental story stuff they're getting right. And I can't help but feel like they should never have gotten them wrong. On the fundaments, on the, hey, this is like, here's a thing. And then later on they use that thing in the story as opposed to shit just kind of showing up out of nowhere. The example I have is the Asera part in Legion where she shows up and just gets got for like there's no setup for that being Xavier's plan whatsoever. It just was. That was never even vaguely mentioned. Just happened. You're like,
It was
what
very
hap-"
and then like react.
Yeah, and you're like, wait, what happened? What? Why did that? I don't know. And then you get, it overwhelms you emotionally because she gets got, and you're like, what the fuck? But they do something, I don't want to say similar, but the idea of, like, hey, here's a thing that's happening. And it's like, it's supposed to be a fairly emotional moment. Oh, that's happening. That succeeds when it does happen. And it's not anything as major as that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, yeah, I feel like, oh, yeah, I like these people and things have gone wrong for them, whatever else. But they actually set things up. And in a way that's fairly obvious, but they also don't kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge. They'll just like offhand mention something, and then that'll be used later. And you go, oh, that's how a story's written. I don't remember very much of that in World of Warcraft largely before, because it's mostly anything, unless it's very specific, like the Divine Bell and Miss of Adaria and stuff like that.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, but stuff like that is actually full on. Oh, that's actually, you're doing a story well enough. You've got characters who you're speaking to, and then they progress in ways that are like their character evolves and learns pretty quickly in small enough ways because it's still tied into, still, I guess, bound by what or how World of Warcraft presents its content. You've got things like ideas that the world of people that aren't just the main cast are actually evolving, like the Artisans Consortium and kind of stuff for them, the Pathfinders, all those little ideas. You're like, oh, hang on. You're doing a story. And you're doing world building. You're doing world building of the old world. You're doing world building of the new world of the Dragonlance. And you're also doing story. You're doing this all at the same time.
Yeah.
And there's points where I'm like, whoa, oh, that felt cool. Or, oh, that was unexpected and I feel a little bit sad. Or, oh, you're doing things well. And I'm like, this is very much...
well done, Blizzard.
That's where a little bit of it feels like, a pat on the head, like, well done, you finally learned this.
Yeah.
But there is an element where it's like, you do have to praise that stuff. And I'm like, will it make it, I guess, will it make it an enjoyable experience? Yes. I have had, even though it's unfinished and there's a lot of cutscenes without audio, and obviously it's hard to enjoy a cutscene with a big red work in progress across it. But I've really been enjoying, like, Dragonflight Beta. I've been really enjoying the story.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is I am definitely willing to give it the good faith approach. And I am actively going out of my way to make sure I read everything and I click on NPCs that are nearby that I can speak to, stuff like that. So I am getting the whole thing. And it's way, way better than I expected it to be. It's still we're still batting a 7 out of 10 at top. That's the kind of angle we're looking at. We're still looking at, Baby's first indie game could have a better story, for sure.
It's not going to be Shadowbringers.
Yeah, it never would or even feasibly could be in any shape or form because it's a different game. But it is learning lessons and going, fuck it, yeah. So you're gonna sit there and, complain about us not having enough character moments. Fuck you. Talk to characters. Here's loads of characters to talk to. And it's those ways of pretty obvious, really directed feedback that everyone's kind of, because you can say story bad and they're like, well, we didn't set out to make a bad story, we set out to make a good one. That's not very good feedback. Versus,
story's fake and lame.
Yeah, versus we would like to, more character dialogue, more learning about the world, more kind of I guess reasons to care about the individuals involved and stuff like that. And they do more of all of that. And I'm like, shit, that's good. I'm enjoying it. And I'm also enjoying all the other parts. I've really taken to the talent trees recently, especially with the last wave of updates. They're no longer frustrating, and I actually feel like I get to do cool things. There's, what else was it? Skinning, running around skinning is really fun. I want to actually do leatherworking properly because it's a thing you can put effort in. It's like a what's it called? A role playing game, one of them things. Them RPGs that people used to play before they all became Destiny, that kind of thing. I'm like, yeah. So it is, reading is not optimal XP. That's why I'm making the big disclaimer of there's quite a lot of you get in what you put out in Dragonflight in terms of talking to everyone and doing side quest stuff. That's still there. Yeah. It always has been because side quests and Zereth Mortis, and even in like base Shadowlands were pretty good. But it is more or less. There are a lot of things to really praise Dragonflight for, and it doesn't look like there's any massive pitfalls they're going to dive headfirst into like they usually do. Maybe that's, maybe I'm on a little bit too much hopium, but that's my experience so far at Dragonflight Beta. So I'm like, yeah, I ain't gonna tell how it is. It is a profound 6.5 out of 10, but that's better than being 4 out of 10. That means at this rate, next expansion will be 9 out of 10.
That's great. Yeah, and I guess like we'd say 6.5 out of 10. People are like, wow. You're that, because to some people 6 out of 10 is like a 0.
Yeah.
It's worth saying me and Matt are both people who use the full scale.
Yes.
Right? Because sometimes in game reviewing, it's like it's a 7, an 8, or a 9. Those are the only numbers that can be used.
Yeah.
Because like maybe this is like a 3.5 stars. And actually, if a 3.5 stars is oriented to what you personally would like, that can actually be a great experience.
I love some 4 out of 10s.
And that's
Big
the other
fan.
thing, the other bit of context too. The idea of Kusuge, which you've talked about so much.
Yeah.
Which I guess we don't really need to recap now. But, take one of my favorite games of all time is 2 of them. Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle-earth 1 and Freelancer. I will never contend that those games are objectively more than a 7 out of 10. But to me, they're a 9.5. Because of, what I like, where I found them, etc., etc. Plus, I mean, and for Battle for Middle-earth, especially Battle for Middle-earth 1, not 2, I think 1 has a just beautifully clean, simple, and well-executed rock, paper, scissors based gameplay that is deeply fucking thematic. And Matt, we've got to play that game on LAN because I actually think you'd enjoy it a fuckload.
Yep, sure.
And actually, see, to be honest, this is my manic wolf. I have manic wolf inside me. Matt, I want to hire COO. I want to hire a fucking biz dev powerhouse. I want to hire like 2 more writers, and I want to hire an editor.
Sweet.
And I want enough room that we can have like a LAN situation in the office. Could you imagine the look in Jared's eyes if he walked into work one day and we're like, hey bro, Supcom LAN after work?
Probably get frustrated and be like, sorry, too much work to do.
Yeah, he'd fucking destroy us too.
Yeah.
That would be the problem.
Of course it would.
Don't know.
Of
Thinking.
course it would.
At what point do you just go big dick, as they say? Now, speaking of going big dick,